हेलो गाइस, वेलकम टू स्टेनो आर्मी यूट्यूब चैनल। सो गाइस, ये वाला डिक्टेशन हम 140 WPM पर लेने वाले हैं। इसका PDF आपको डिस्क्रिप्शन में और टेलीग्राम चैनल पर मिल जाएगा, तो आप वहाँ से इसको डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं और अपना ट्रांसक्रिप्शन चेक कर सकते हैं। तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं। गेट रेडी, 3, 2, 1 स्टार्ट। द क्लियरेस्ट एविडेंस फॉर सरफेस वार्मिंग comes from widespread thermometer records that in some places extend back to the late 19th century. Today, temperatures are monitored at many thousands of locations over both the land and ocean surface. Indirect estimates of temperature change from such sources as tree rings and ice cores help to place recent temperature changes in the context of the past. In terms of the average surface temperature of Earth, these indirect estimates show that 1989 to 2019 was very likely the warmest 30-year period in more than 800 years. The most recent decade, 2010-2019, is the warmest decade in the instrumental record so far since 1850. A side range of other observations provide a more comprehensive picture of warming throughout the climate change. For example, the lower atmosphere and the upper layers of the ocean have also warmed. Snow and ice cover are decreasing in the northern hemisphere. The Greenland ice sheet is shrinking and sea level is rising. These measurements are made with a variety of land, ocean, and space-based monitoring systems, which gives added confidence in the reality of global scale warming of Earth's climate. Since the mid-1800s, scientists have known that CO2 is one of the main greenhouse gases of importance to Earth's energy balance. Direct measurements of CO2 in the atmosphere and in air trapped in ice show that atmospheric CO2 increased by more than 40% from 1800 to 2019. Measurements of different forms of carbon reveal that this increase is due to human activities. Other greenhouse gases are also increasing as a consequence of human activities. The observed global surface temperature rise since 1900 is consistent with detailed calculations of the impacts of the observed increase in atmospheric greenhouse gases and other human-induced changes on Earth's energy balance. Different influences on our climate have different signatures in climate records. These unique footprints are easier to see by probing beyond a single number, such as the average temperature of Earth's surface, and by looking instead at the geographical and seasonal patterns of climate change. The observed patterns of surface warming, temperature changes through the atmosphere, increases in ocean heat content, increases in atmospheric moisture, sea level rise, and increased melting of land and sea ice also match the patterns scientists expect to see due to human activities. The expected changes in climate are based on our understanding of how greenhouse gases trap heat. Both this fundamental understanding of the physics of greenhouse gases and pattern-based fingerprint studies show that natural causes alone are inadequate to explain the recent observed changes in climate. Natural causes include variations in the sun's output and in Earth's orbit around the sun, volcanic eruptions, and internal fluctuations in the climate system. Calculations using climate models have been used to simulate what would have happened to global temperatures if only natural factors were influencing the climate system. These simulations yield little surface warming or even a slight cooling over the 20th century and into the 21st. Only when models include human influences on the composition of the atmosphere are the resulting temperature changes consistent with observed changes. In nature, CO2 is exchanged continually between the atmosphere, plants, and animals through photosynthesis, respiration, and decomposition, and between the atmosphere and ocean through gas exchange. A very small amount of CO2 is also emitted in volcanic eruptions. This is balanced by an equivalent amount that is removed by chemical weathering of rocks. The CO2 level in 2019 was more than 40% higher than it was in the 19th century. Most of this CO2 increase has taken place since 1970, about the time when global energy consumption accelerated. Major decrease in the fraction of other forms of carbon and a small decrease in atmospheric oxygen concentration, observation of which have been available since 1990, show that the rise in CO2 is largely from combustion of fossil fuels. Deforestation and other land use changes have also released carbon from the biosphere, where it normally resides for decades to centuries. The additional CO2 from fossil fuel burning and deforestation has disturbed the balance of the carbon cycle, and because the natural processes that could restore the balance are too slow compared to the rates at which human activities are adding CO2 to the atmosphere. As a result, a substantial fraction of the CO2 emitted from human activities accumulates in the atmosphere, where some of it will remain not just for decades or centuries, but for thousands of years. Comparison with the CO2 levels measured in air extracted from ice cores indicates that the current concentration are substantially higher than they have been in the last 8 lakh years. Decades of slow warming as well as decades of accelerated warming occurring naturally in the climate system, decades that are cold or warm compared to the long-term trend, are seen in the observations of the past 150 years and are also captured by climate models. Because the atmosphere stores very little heat, surface temperatures can be rapidly affected by heat uptake elsewhere in the climate system and by changes in external influences on climate. सो गाइज ये डिक्टेशन हमने 140 WPM पर लिखी है। अब इसको आप ट्रांसक्राइब करके और PDF से चेक कर सकते हैं कि आपकी कितनी गलतियाँ आई है। थैंक यू एवरीवन एंड गुड बाय।